I've spent a couple of weeks with the Honor 70, Honor's mid-range yet quite premium smartphone, costing £450 in the UK, around $550 in the US. Is it good value for money? It's interesting because it introduces Sony's IMX800 image sensor to smartphones in general. It's the first phone to feature it, and it also sits a little bit below the excellent Honor Magic 4 Pro, which I really liked. Last year's Honor 50 was good, but not great. So can the Honor 70 level up the line in the face of fierce competition from the Pixel 6a and Nothing Phone 1? The Honor 70 is a great looking phone. The front looks like it's nearly all screen, while the sides taper in elegantly and the phone's profile is very slim. Available in crystal silver, midnight black and emerald green. I've been using the frosted emerald green version, and it repels fingerprints like a champ. There's a case in the box and a pre-fitted screen protector, so while it misses out on IP68 water resistance, the phone still comes with some protection. The glass front and back give the Honor 70 an instant richness, though it's interesting that Honor went with a plastic frame for the phone instead of a metal one. On the Plus, plastic keeps things nice and light, with the Honor 70 weighing just 178 grams. That's much lighter than the 210 gram Pixel 6 Pro or 240 gram iPhone 13 Pro Max. While on paper its slender 7.9mm profile sounds good, in the flesh the phone actually feels even slimmer given the tapered edges. And with a large 6.8-inch screen, it also has a commanding footprint. Reminiscent of old Samsung Galaxy Note phones, when I first swiped through it, it has a large curved AMOLED display with a 120Hz refresh rate, and it just looks really premium. The more I use the Honor 70 though, the more I realised this isn't quite a flagship screen. The resolution isn't QHD, it's Full HD, and that means it sports a pixel density of around 395 pixels per inch, quite a bit behind some flagships. Brightness went toe-to-toe with the Oppo Reno 8 Pro, reaching around 900 nits in auto brightness when in direct sunlight. So while this isn't best in class, it should still be easy to make out what's on screen. Onto the cameras, and there are three around the back, a wide, an ultra-wide and a depth sensor. We don't mind a depth sensor, after all it's better than a 2 megapixel macro camera that might make you use it and be disappointed with its shots, especially in low light. The Sony IMX800 is a 1/1.49 inch 54 megapixel sensor, which is pretty big. Matched with an f1.9 aperture, it's interesting that the new sensor isn't helped along by optical image stabilization. There's no telephoto camera on the Honor 70, but its ultra-wide is powerful, doubling up as a macro camera thanks to its auto-focusing lens. That means it can lock onto subjects as close as 4 centimeters away. It also has a 50 megapixel resolution, so details should be on point, and there's an f2.2 lens to let loads of light in. As for selfies, they're captured on a 32 megapixel f2.4 camera, though images are saved at around 8 megapixels, which bins 4 pixels into 1. When it comes to image quality, the wide and ultra-wide cameras around the back play off each other really nicely, both packing similar high-resolution sensors and similar characteristics as well for the most part. The main camera's IMX800 sensor grabs loads of detail and rich images, especially in well-lit scenes. They also look balanced from a colour and exposure point of view, and there's a pleasing amount of contrast applied to the photos, as well as sharpening, adding extra pop without over-processing them too much. You can crop into pictures comfortably by up to around 2, maybe 3 times, but if you're a zoom fiend, you'll miss a dedicated telephoto camera. Noise is handled well for the most part. When shooting at night, the primary camera's exposure is tastefully amplified. It doesn't turn night into day like some phones, but does pull out loads of detail from shadows and handles mixed lighting impressively for a camera with no optical image stabilization. You can tell optical image stabilization is missing when you crop into low light photos taken on it. You just don't have that detail that you get on phones like the Pixel 6 Pro, for example, or the excellent Xiaomi 12S Ultra. When shooting in poorly lit scenes with an ultra-wide camera, it's a similar story, except there's actually a bit less clarity and less exposure. As a system though, and for the price, the Honor 70 is a strong option. The 32 megapixel selfie camera is also capable of pulling off sharp, good-looking photos in bright environments. While beauty mode's on by default, it's relatively subtle, and even when you turn it off, shots are still warm and flattering. As for video capture, whether you shoot at Full HD 30 frames per second or 4K 60, it's held together well by that electronic stabilization. Just like with photos, it handles noise relatively well, and focus is reliable even mid-recording. It also grabs a pleasing amount of background blur when your subject is closer than half a meter away. If you don't mind a drop in quality for your TikTok and Instagram content, then you can try the new Solo Cut feature. This crops in a portrait rectangle out of a landscape video, so it records two videos at once, basically tracking a subject in the process. In summary, the camera is probably the highlight of this phone along with its design and screen. Its performance, however, isn't quite as good as you can get for the price. The Honor 70 is powerful, similar to the Nothing Phone 1 given it's the same chipset, but it isn't flagship by any means. Still, thanks to its smooth 120Hz refresh rate screen, it all feels relatively fast, and the phone is capable of playing back games without too many dropped frames at moderate graphics settings. But if you're a maximum quality 60 frames per second Genshin impactor, you might want to look elsewhere. Running Honor's Magic UI 6 on top of Android 12, the interface is virtually identical to Huawei's EMUI, only with access to the Google Play Store, which is a boon for anyone in the West. Bloatware is annoying. There are quite a few pre-installed apps both from Honor and third parties, and while many of them were uninstallable, some of the Honor ones that we'd like to have got rid of aren't. Despite missing out on an SD card slot with up to 256 gigabytes of storage inside, you should have plenty of space for all your movies, files, photos, and apps. The phone also packs a pretty big battery considering how thin it feels, 4,800 milliamps, and it lasts a comfortable day in our use, with the Snapdragon 778G Plus being relatively power efficient. It's larger than the Nothing Phone 1 battery by 300 milliamps, and that certainly pays off. It also charges quickly with a fast charger in the box at 66 watts, powering it up in just under an hour, and a 20-minute charge will get you to around 50%. This is plenty fast even if it isn't class leading, though the phone does miss out on wireless charging. And so the Honor 70 is a good phone, but it misses out on some flourishes that could have made it a great phone. You haven't got, for example, wireless charging, water resistance, and it's got a mono speaker. Still, if you can handle that, the design is near best in class. It feels incredibly sleek. It's also got decent battery life, a pretty glorious screen, and the camera mix is good too. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I've been Basil Cronfley. Have a great day.